You need to help your brother. Family comes first, Mariana. The message glowed on my phone screen, cold and commanding. My father's tone never changed. Even through text, it felt like law. I sat at my kitchen table in Milwaukee, coffee gone cold, hands trembling. 21, that's what he wanted. No, expected. From me. For my brother Tyler's graduation party. 3 days after my own son's 5th birthday, which none of them had bothered to attend. Across the room, Lucas knelt on the living room floor, his tongue poking out in concentration as he stacked his colorful blocks. His curls bounced every time he placed another piece. He looked so content and so heartbreakingly unaware. He didn't know that his grandparents and uncle and aunt had never shown up, that every car he'd watched through the window had passed by without stopping, that I'd smiled through the party, pretending it didn't matter while my stomach twisted in knots. The bounce house had deflated hours ago, but the ache hadn't. "Are they here yet, Mama?" He'd asked again and again. "Not yet, baby," I'd said, each time choking on the lie. By the time the last kid left, he'd asked the question that shattered me. Did I do something wrong? That night, after I tucked him in and cleaned up the crumbs of a party no one came to, I'd sworn I wouldn't let it happen again. Yet here I was, staring at another demand, not a word of apology, just numbers. I reread the message. Tyler's graduation party is next month. We need $2,200 to cover venue and catering. Your mother and I are contributing $500. You and Bethany should split the rest. Send by Friday. The math didn't even make sense. But then logic had never applied in my family. My father decided the rules. We obeyed. I'd spent years being the good daughter, responsible, quiet, helpful, the one who carried everyone else's weight. When Tyler wrecked his car 2 years ago, my father had called me, "He's had a tough time, Mariana. Family helps family." I sent $300 I didn't have. When my own car broke down, he lectured me about financial maturity before lending me $800, money I paid back penny by penny. Lucas's 5th birthday was just the latest reminder. They hadn't forgotten. They'd chosen not to come. I opened my banking app, stared at the number in my savings, the small cushion I'd built for Lucas's future. $2,200 would wipe a third of it, for a brother who couldn't even send a text to his nephew. No, not this time. My pulse thudded as I typed in 120. In the memo line, I wrote 2 words, "Best wishes," and pressed send. The confirmation screen glowed, a small act of rebellion that made my heart pound like I'd just committed a crime. Growing up, defying my father had been unthinkable. His silence was more dangerous than shouting. Disappointment was his sharpest weapon. But something had shifted. That night at the table, as Lucas built his tower of blocks, I realized I wasn't just a daughter anymore. I was a mother. And my son deserved better than the scraps of love I'd been begging for my whole life. My phone buzzed. A new message from my father. "Mariana, I don't see the full payment. Must be a mistake. Please resend $2,200 immediately," I exhaled, a shaky, almost laughing breath. No, Dad. The mistake wasn't mine. It had taken me 29 years to see it clearly, and this time I was done playing his game. I stared at my father's message until the screen dimmed, the words burning like a brand. "Please resend $2,200 immediately." There it was again, the command, not the request. He couldn't imagine a world where I said no. Instead of replying, I scrolled through my contacts to a name I'd saved months ago. Gregory, a real estate attorney, the man who'd quietly helped me set the first boundary I'd ever drawn in my life. Because there was one thing my parents didn't know. The house I lived in, The one I'd bought after Lucas was born wasn't theirs to use as leverage anymore. 3 years ago, my father had co-signed the mortgage to help me qualify for a better rate. I'd thanked him for his generosity, not realizing it was another leash. Every disagreement since, he'd thrown it in my face. That's the house we helped you get. Help in his vocabulary always meant ownership. 6 months ago, after they'd skipped Lucas's 4th birthday, I'd started researching. I learned that with good credit and a steady income, I could refinance and remove his name entirely. It had taken months of saving, paperwork, and silent determination, but the documents had come through last month. The house, every inch of it, was mine. Now, I just hadn't told him yet. That night, after putting Lucas to bed, I texted my best friend, Destiny. "Are you free tonight?" "Need to talk. Always." "Wine's already breathing," she replied. When I told her everything, the text, the dollar payment, the refinance, she stared at me like she was watching someone walk out of a burning house. "You already took him off the deed?" "Last month." Her grin spread slow and fierce. "You brilliant woman." I didn't feel brilliant. I felt terrified, but free. The next morning, Destiny showed up early, coffee in one hand, determination in the other. "We're changing your locks today." "I don't know." "You said he still has a spare key, right?" "Then we're changing them." By 10 a.m., we were at the hardware store. The man behind the counter showed us how to install new deadbolts. 20 minutes with a screwdriver, he said. Anyone can do it. Back home, I unscrewed the old brass lock while Destiny watched. Each turn of the screwdriver felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. When the new bolt clicked into place, I whispered under my breath, "My house. My rules." As if on cue, my phone buzzed again. "Mariana, it's been 2 days. I need that money by tomorrow or we can't confirm the venue." "Stop playing games," I typed back. I sent what I could afford. "Best wishes to Tyler." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then his reply. "What you sent was insulting. Your brother deserves better than your petty behavior. I'll be by your house tomorrow at noon." My chest tightened. Tomorrow. He was coming here. Lucas would be home. I texted Destiny immediately. "He's coming here tomorrow at noon. Can Lucas stay with you for a few hours?" "Of course." "Bring him over at 11. I'll have cookies waiting." Then I called Gregory. "Hi, Gregory, it's Mariana. I need certified documents proving the house is solely in my name. Something I can show if needed." He hesitated. "Is someone disputing your ownership?" "Not yet," I said, voice steady. "But they might." He promised to have everything ready by Monday morning. When I hung up, I sat in my quiet living room. Fear coiled in my stomach, the kind that came from years of conditioning. But underneath it, there was something else. Resolve. Tomorrow, my father would come expecting obedience. He'd find locked doors instead, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of what would happen next. Sunday morning dawned cold and quiet. Lucas hummed to himself as he packed his little backpack, a few toys, his stuffed bear, and the cookies Destiny had promised. "Where are we going, Mama?" "To Auntie Destiny's, remember? You get to help her bake today." His eyes brightened instantly. "Can we make chocolate ones?" "As many as you want." I dropped him off just before 11. Destiny hugged me tight at the door. "You've got this. Don't let him manipulate you. You don't owe anyone an explanation." Her confidence steadied me. I drove home, checked the locks one last time, closed every curtain, and waited. At exactly noon, I heard the car. My father's sedan, my mother's silhouette in the passenger seat, staying put, as always. He marched up the walkway like a man arriving at his own house. Through the peephole, I watched him knock. Once, Twice. Louder. Then he pulled out a key. He tried the lock. Once. Twice. The deadbolt didn't move. His face twisted in confusion, then anger. He pounded again. Mariana, open this door right now. I opened it, just enough for the chain to hold. Hi, Dad. He stared at the chain, then at me. Why doesn't my key work? I changed the locks. You what? It's my house. I can change them whenever I want. His jaw clenched. I co-signed that mortgage. I have every right to access. I met his eyes. My heart beat steady now. You did. I refinanced last month. Your name isn't on anything anymore. For the first time in my life, my father looked truly speechless. His mouth opened, then shut. Behind him, my mother got out of the car, clutching her purse like a shield. You refinanced? He said finally. Without telling me? I wasn't required to. This is about the money, isn't it? He snapped. You're throwing a tantrum because I asked you to help with your brother's graduation party. You didn't ask, Dad. You demanded. He stepped closer. The chain held. You're being incredibly selfish. My son's birthday was 3 days before that, I said quietly. You all ignored him. No call, no text, nothing? We explained your mother had a migraine. And Tyler? Bethany? They were busy. Finals. Work. Finals ended 2 weeks earlier, I cut in. Tyler posted about it all over social media. My father's face flushed. You're being dramatic. Your brother's graduation is a milestone. And my son's 5th birthday wasn't? That's different. Lucas is a child. He doesn't understand these things yet. The words sliced through me. My hands shook, but I didn't back away. Get off my property. He blinked. Excuse me? You heard me. You don't live here. You don't have a key. Leave. Mariana, let's just calm down, my mother interjected, her voice soft and manipulative as always. We're family. There's no need for hostility. I gave a short, bitter laugh. Then maybe family should have shown up when it mattered. My father's tone hardened into the familiar voice of command. You'll regret this behavior. We raised you better. No, I said, voice steady. You raised me to believe love had to be earned. I'm done earning it. He glared, and for a split second I saw something almost like fear in his eyes. Fear that I'd stopped being the obedient daughter he could control. Leave, I repeated. He slammed his hand on the door. If you don't open this right now and have a civil conversation, there will be consequences. What consequences, Dad? I met his gaze, calm now. You can't threaten me with this house anymore. You have no power here. The chain rattled as I closed the door, turned the new lock, and leaned against the wood. His voice thundered through it. This isn't over, Mariana. You can't treat family this way. Maybe not, but I could finally treat myself with the respect they never did. The house was silent after they left, but my heart wasn't. It pounded like it had run a marathon. I sank into a chair, shaking, adrenaline fading into dread. I'd stood up to him, and for the first time in my life, he'd been forced to back down. But I knew my father. Silence was never surrender. It was strategy. That night, my phone lit up again. Dozens of messages. Dad, you're making a huge mistake. Tyler. Dad's furious. You're overreacting. Bethany. Mom's crying. Why are you doing this? And my father again. We're having a family meeting tonight at 6. You will be there. I typed a single word back. No. His response was instant. This isn't optional. I didn't reply. I turned my phone face down and let the buzzing die. That night, as Lucas ate dinner and talked about his new song from preschool, I pretended everything was normal. But under the surface, I was waiting for the next blow. It came 3 days later. A new voice on the phone. Polite, professional. Hello, is this Mariana? This is Jennifer from Child Protective Services. We received a report about your 5-year-old son, Lucas. I'd like to schedule a home visit to follow up on some concerns. The blood drained from my face. Concerns? I can't discuss details over the phone, but we'd like to visit tomorrow afternoon. When the call ended, I sat frozen. There was only one person vindictive enough to do this. My father hadn't just crossed a line, he'd burned it to ashes. I called Destiny, voice trembling. He called CPS on me. Silence. Then, that bastard. They're coming tomorrow. Okay, she said firmly. We'll be ready. You're going to make this impossible for them to find anything wrong. Because there isn't anything wrong. That night, I didn't sleep. I cleaned, organized, labeled every medicine bottle, checked smoke detectors, folded laundry, filled the fridge with fresh fruit and laid out documents. Preschool attendance. Medical records, everything, by morning. The house sparkled and I still felt sick. At 2 p.m., Jennifer arrived, young, composed, clipboard in hand. Destiny was already there beside me, calm but watchful. Hi, I'm here to follow up on a report, Jennifer said, stepping inside. Of course, I said, voice steady. She inspected the kitchen, the bathroom, Lucas's room. She smiled at the dinosaur sheets, the row of picture books, the neat little bed. Then she asked to talk to Lucas. He sat on the couch, swinging his legs, cheerful as always. Do you like living here? She asked gently. Yeah, he said. Mama makes pancakes on Saturdays. Does your mom ever scare you or hurt you? Lucas frowned. No, she hugs me a lot. Jennifer smiled softly. Do you feel safe here? He nodded. Super safe. When she finished her walkthrough, she sat at the kitchen table. I'll be honest, she said. The report claimed neglect, that your son was being kept from family and living in unsafe conditions. But from what I see, he's happy, healthy, and safe. Her eyes softened. You're doing a wonderful job, Mariana. I felt tears sting my eyes. Thank you. She closed her file. I'm marking this case unfounded. But I want to warn you, the caller identified himself as your father. The confirmation landed like a punch. I'd known, but hearing it made it real. He weaponized the system, Destiny said quietly. Jennifer nodded. If he files again, it will go on record as a repeated malicious complaint. That could have legal consequences for him. After she left, I collapsed onto the couch. Destiny sat beside me, wrapping me in a silent hug. He tried to take your child, Mariana. You need to protect yourself, legally. The next morning, I did. I walked into a downtown law office and met Vanessa, a family law attorney. Her office was calm, sunlight spilling across shelves of legal books. I told her everything. The manipulation, the confrontation, the CPS call. She listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable until I finished. Mariana, she said finally, what your father did wasn't just controlling. It was harassment. You can file a restraining order to protect yourself and your son. My heart pounded, but my voice didn't shake. Let's do it. For the first time in years, I wasn't reacting to my father's rules. I was writing my own. The courthouse smelled faintly of old paper and disinfectant. I sat outside the courtroom beside Vanessa, my hands clasped tight in my lap. Just remember, she whispered, stay calm. Facts, not emotion. You've already won. The evidence is airtight. When my name was called, my legs felt weightless. Inside, my father sat across the aisle with his lawyer. My mother was behind him, pale and trembling. Tyler and Bethany hovered nearby, avoiding my eyes. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman named Sullivan, scanned the documents before her. We're here for a harassment restraining order filed by Mariana against her father, Gary. Her voice was cool, professional. Miss Vanessa, proceed. Vanessa stood. Her voice was steady, confident. Your Honor, this case concerns an escalating pattern of harassment, emotional, financial, and finally legal, by the respondent against my client. The respondent's behavior culminated in a false Child Protective Services report intended to intimidate her. She laid out everything. The skipped birthdays, the financial manipulation, the unannounced visits, the text messages, the police report, the malicious CPS claim. Piece by piece, my life unfolded on the record. She picked up her pen, signed, and spoke the words I'd been praying to hear. The temporary restraining order is now made permanent for 4 years. Mr. Gary is prohibited from contacting Mariana or her son directly or indirectly. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. My father's face collapsed. Disbelief, fury, and something that looked almost like loss. My mother began to cry. Bethany hid her face. Tyler just stared at the floor. I exhaled for the first time in months. Outside the courtroom, Vanessa smiled. You did it. I didn't just win a case, I said softly. I got my life back. That night, I tucked Lucas into bed. His hair smelled like shampoo and sugar cookies. Mama, he mumbled sleepily, are Grandpa and Grandma gonna come next year? I brushed his curls back gently. No, baby. But you'll have people who love you there, he smiled. Like Auntie Destiny? Exactly like Auntie Destiny. When he drifted off, I stepped outside onto the porch. The air was cool, the street quiet. For the first time, the silence didn't feel threatening. It felt like peace. In the months that followed, life slowly rebuilt itself. Work flourished. Lucas thrived. Destiny became family in every way that mattered. On his 6th birthday, he blew out his candles surrounded by laughter. No empty promises, no waiting by the window. As I watched him giggle with frosting on his face, I realized something. I hadn't lost a family. I'd shed one that had never truly been mine. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's choosing peace over chaos. It's building something whole from what they tried to break. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the daughter who obeyed. I was the mother who protected. And that was more than enough.